Hello, Lou. You are a silver beagle.
Hold on, what? Bro, we gotta talk about this show. So yeah, I finally gave the new Rugrats a watch, and besides Susie for some reason being portrayed younger than she was before, and Chaz's horrible voice acting.
Betty, hey, I don't mean to alarm you, but the twins are playing with mud.
What kind of place is this?
I was a bit surprised with this series. Now before we talk about this show, I might be a little late on the topic, but that's only because I've just now decided to watch it. One thing I've noticed about myself is that no matter how hyped something is, I'll typically only check it out if I'm actually interested, and for some reason this just wasn't a must watch for me. Yes, I know the original Rugrats was a freaking masterpiece, but we live in the day and age of reboots on top of reboots on top of reboots, and sometimes these are just fast cash grabs with no love actually put into them from the big studio that's actually producing the show. Man, that trash left a nasty taste in my mouth, so I'll be very hesitant on checking out a lot of these new shows, but I didn't get that fast cash grab vibe from this Rugrats series at all, to be honest. I turned on the show and told myself I was going into this with no expectations and no comparing to the original. I just wanted to rate it for what it was, and I honestly really enjoyed the series. First, let's touch on the animation. I found that the more I watched this show, the more I started to fall in love with the animation. It's freaking beautiful. I will admit that with a lot of the older versions of these shows, you get more of a dark, eerie feeling when watching them, but that clearly wasn't the goal for this show, so hey, it is what it is. I find the new animation incredibly interesting, and I don't really know what to compare it to because it's super unique. I particularly love the look of Stu and Chucky's hair. They have such unique looks to them, although I feel sometimes this animation can make some of the characters' eyes feel lifeless at times. I don't know, man, it's just something I gotta get used to, I guess. I especially noticed this with Tommy. He comes off a bit lifeless at times. Not the body movement or anything, really just the eyes. I don't know though, let me know in the comments if you guys feel the same way. But yeah, overall, this animation opens up so many new doors for this show. The rain episode in particular was really beautiful, and you really get to see some of what this new animation can do. The overall lighting in some of these scenes are really visually pleasing, especially in episode 13, The Werewolf Hunter. The entire episode is just very pleasing to watch. I would recommend checking it out if you haven't. Now we're going to talk about the characters, and I will admit I did lie earlier. I had at least one expectation when going into this reboot, and basically I just wanted them to keep the characters true to themselves. I found that while watching this, Angelica was definitely, and I mean definitely, still that same evil little child with malicious intentions. In this spooky episode, The Werewolf Hunter, she plays this evil werewolf villain, turning into a werewolf after being bitten while the babies are outside catching fireflies. I'm pretty sure in episodes where the babies have to use their imaginations to go on adventures, Angelica will continue to be portrayed as the villain that she is. And as we see in this episode, Tommy plays the role of a hero monster hunter, so clearly he's still seen as that stand-up heroic baby he has always been. Now Chucky, on the other hand, who was always my favorite character out of the entire series, is still that same shaky, scary baby who's pretty much terrified of everything. Lil was still Lil, I guess. She was lilling it up, and Phil was definitely still a disgusting baby.
Hide it in your hair, Philip. Can't, William. Already storing a hot dog.
My only complaint is about Susie, as she is included in more of the baby's adventures this time around, which I love, but she just comes off more babyish in this new series than she did before. She fits in more with the babies than Angelica, and that's kinda a problem for me. I did some digging, found a few fossils along the way. Hey, here's one right here, a old Dark Rugrats review of mine. You should definitely check it out after this video. The other thing I found was that while Susie was younger than Angelica in the older series, she wasn't that much younger. So why change it? I always saw Susie as the counter to Angelica. I saw her as the second oldest kid who was very wise and mature for her age and would take up for the babies whenever Angelica was bossing them around too much. Or she would be there to say, hey, that's not true, whenever Angelica was making the babies believe something that wasn't true. Yeah, so like I said, Susie was pretty much the balance. And with her being included in more of the babies' adventures, I feel keeping her around Angelica's age would have been better. While Susie definitely still comes off smarter and older than the other babies, she's dumbed down a bit from her usual self, but she's definitely still intelligent enough to call Angelica out on some of her bullshit, so I guess it works. Next, we're going to talk about the actual episodes themselves. How good are they? Well, I didn't find myself constantly losing focus when watching the show, even though I might have a higher attention span than most that will watch this show. With the animation being so beautiful, you can miss some epic visuals if you aren't paying attention. It also helped that the episodes weren't poorly written. An episode in particular I was very pleased with was the episode called Lady Declutter. It's about Dee Dee hiring this professional organizer who comes to check if things will no longer service its universal purpose. She was pretty much walking through the house, taking things and placing them in a box, saying they surrender to the past. She also claims to literally be able to feel the energy of a space, closing her eyes and moving about it in order to get a read on it. But as you can imagine, she was pretty much full of shit. It is later discovered that she is actually a scam artist in disguise of a professional organizer in order to take people's possessions and resell them online. I was actually surprised on how much I enjoyed this episode. Another episode that stood out in particular was Mr. Chucky. Mr. Chucky is the second segment of the 12th episode, and it's really interesting. In this episode, Chucky gets his first pair of grown-up shoes and ends up changing into a fully grown adult. It was pretty fun to watch, to be honest. And while being a fully grown adult, Chucky decides to take the babies out on town. It's a must watch if you haven't seen this show yet. Now, I will admit some of the episodes may come off a little underwhelming, but for the most part I enjoyed them. And might I mention Tommy's butt is shown often throughout the series? Bruh, that definitely reminds you of the old series. But yeah, after checking out this series, I honestly wasn't left disappointed. I think if you enjoyed the 1991 series and you go into this with an open mind and no expectations, you would definitely enjoy the visuals and the overall show. But let me know if you checked this series out and if you enjoyed it in the comments down below. And if you're interested, I have more deep dives on my channel, so be sure to check out some videos. But until next time, peace.